So the next thing that we're going to go into quickly is Google Earth, just to have a very quick overview of Google Earth and how I use Google Earth. I must say that both for work and private, I use Google Earth and BaseCamp quite extensively, and that is part of the experience that I've gained is in playing around and trying things and so on, and that is where everything comes that I've used up to now. All right, so let us open up Google Earth. All right, again, I'm not sure how familiar all of you are with Google Earth. The version that I've got here is Google Earth Pro. It is free of charge. It doesn't cost you anything. You've got a web-based version and you've got the actual application. I prefer to use the actual application. And what you will notice immediately if you look at this screen is that it works very similar to BaseCamp, where I've got my places. That is everything that I have in Google Earth, and then I've got folders that's containing the information that I have and that I work with and that I play around with and so on. All right, so when you open up Google Earth, it will open up the screen like that. Now, I just want to touch quickly on the options screen. I talked just now about the coordinates and the format of the coordinates. So the first thing I do is that I make sure that my Google Earth and my BaseCamp uses the same format. Now I think if I click over here to go to the next screen, it will actually go back. I thought I put it in here, but I took it out because I decided to do it directly in BaseCamp, in Google Earth. So if I go to options, the first tab there is 3D view, and you'll see there show lat long in decimal degrees, minutes, seconds, etc., etc. Personally, I like decimal degrees. It is easy for me. If it is 0.5, I know it is halfway between those 2 points. If I start working with minutes and seconds, then it becomes a bit more complicated in inverted commas. So I prefer just to use decimal degrees, and I make sure that it is set at that. Something else that I do as well is if I go to navigation, I choose an option over here. Do not automatically tilt while zooming, because you might find sometimes that when you zoom, it starts to tilt the screen. I prefer to look at the Earth from the top, and that is why I select this option over here that says do not automatically tilt while zooming. So when I zoom in and out, it will stay at the top, and it will show me the point. If I want to tilt the screen, I do it manually after that. Okay, so those are the settings, and then exactly the same as in in BaseCamp, I can pan around in Google Earth with this little hand, and by dragging it around, and I can zoom in by scrolling in and out on the screen, and I can go to any point that I have, and I can zoom into that point. If you are like me and you've already had a lot of points on the left hand side over here, you can actually go and in this case Babylonstoren hiking, or the summit. If I double click on that point, it will actually zoom into that. It will go to that point. It will zoom into that particular point. Now I haven't selected it there, so if I select it, it will show you that is the summit of Babylonstoren, and that is somewhere that I would like to hike. So I've been doing a bit of investigation of how I can get there and what I can do. And as is normally the case, a lot of the places that I want to go to doesn't have roads leading to them. So I have to create my own routes in order to go there. All right. So that is basically how I can zoom in and scroll. What I can do as well, which is quite nice sometimes, is you'll see that on the left-hand side over here, it's got these little triangles. If I click on the bottom one, the top one rather, you will see that it will start to tilt the screen. So now I will see a more 3D view of the area that I'm looking at. And also what I can do is by dragging that little north symbol, I can actually change the direction that I want to look at, especially now that it is in the 3D view, I can look at this mountain from the backside and see where it is. In order to take me back, I just click on that north button and it will take me pointing north up again. Sorry about that. Let me just finish coughing. I wanted to talk and drink at the same time. Sorry about that. All right, so I clicked on the north button there, and it took me to the orientated north up again. And by clicking this down arrow, it will actually take me back where I am at the top. Let me just north up there. Right, and I can zoom in and out of the screen. I can tilt it and I can rotate it. The other nice option that is over here, let me just zoom into a screen here, give it a chance to update, is this little icon over here. It says drag to enter street view. Now you will see that I've got my roads at the bottom here. And if I take this little icon and I drop it anywhere on that road, it's going to take a while to update on your side. Let's just give it a chance. Looks like it's a bit slow. But that actually gives you, it looks like a bit slow in updating, but that will give you a street view like you find in Google Maps of that particular point. But it seems that it's a bit slow in updating now, so I'm just going to exit that. You can play around with that and see where it takes you. Okay, so that is basically street view. Maybe the other thing that I didn't put down here, but I think which I should show you, you will see that on the left-hand side, as I've explained, I've got all my folders and stuff where my information is, where I can store my information. And right here at the bottom, I've got hidden here one that says layers. Now, if I open that up, let me just drag that up a little bit so that I can see more. And from here, I've got different options of what I want to see on the screen. Like, for instance, I can select to hide all the roads. You'll see that yellow line disappearing over there. I can choose to see 3D buildings in a lot of the, especially the overseas places, they've got 3D buildings. So I can choose to show them or not show them. I can choose to show borders, etc., etc., photos. I can display photos or not. You will see that if I go, let me just zoom back out here again, up to more or less here where I work. On Google Earth, you'll see little icons like that over there. If you click on it, it will actually open up a photo that somebody has took at that particular point that you can look at. All right, and by playing around with these items over here, you can see that there's one for water body outlines, where it will actually outline water bodies. I can look at different transport options that I want to see. Parks, what do I want to see in parks? I want to see parks, I want to see golf courses, etc., etc. So here you can pretty much pick and choose of what you want to see on the screen and what you don't want to see. All right, but I don't use that too often, so that is why I hide it to the bottom to give more space over here. All right, so that is basically the basics there. All right. The next thing that I want to show you is the tracks in Google Earth. Now, what I can do here is, I'm trying to remember now, I think I have got that over there. But as I've explained, is that a lot of times, if I look at this particular, now let me go back. Let me go back to my BaseCamp over here. And then we'll tackle this one here also. I just want to choose the other database again, my default database. So I go to General, to Default. All right, let me just open up here. And I want to go to my Transkei sample that I had here just now. And let us select any one of these points, say show on map. I can just leave that one. And you can just scroll down here a little bit. All right, here you will see that there's a place called Mfulelo Falls. Now, we actually hiked here in the Transkei up to this point over here where you'll see these blue lines. And only when I got back to the computer, I realized that if I had walked another 360 meters, I would have found another waterfall that falls directly into the ocean. So that's why that in the next trip that I planned, I said I have to go to this waterfall, and I want to see, because at the time on the next trip there were people that that did not want to walk that far. So I wanted to see if there's actually a way that I could travel down here. So what I can do now is that if I go back to my waypoints, Mfulelo Falls, if you select it, I can say File, Export. I can export my selection, Mfulelo Falls, and I'm going to save it as a KML, and at the save as type. If I was going too fast, if I drop down here, this is the different formats that I can export it to. So I can go to KML over there, and I'll just save it in my downloads folder. It is fine, and I will save it over there. So now, if I go back to my Google Earth, I can go to the File menu, and I can say Import, and I can go to my download. And if I go here to the file types, I just select right at the bottom all types, and I will see Mfulelo KML at the top there. So I will select that one, and I will say open, and it will take me directly to that point over there. So that is where the Mfulelo Falls is in the Transkei. Now, when I look at this screen over here, let me just move it down a little bit. I'm not sure if you can see, but very faintly, there's a little road that goes up there. Now, let me just scroll a bit further, then you might see it a bit clearer. There it follows up there. So that's when I decided to follow that road and see if I can actually plot that road out on the GPS and then travel on that particular road. And that is exactly what I did, and we actually did travel that road. So what I did is I zoomed in here, and again, through my toolbars at the top there, you'll see there's one there called Add a Path. Now, maybe just to show you, at the moment, I'm in temporary places at the left-hand side here. Now, if I delete or if I close Google Earth, I can choose to save these places, or I can choose to delete them. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go here to my places, and I'm going to add a folder, and I'm going to call it BaseCamp Training. All right, and it will sit over there, and I will take my Mfulelo Falls KML, and I will actually drag it into my BaseCamp Training folder. All right, so from there, to go back to my path, add path icon at the top over there, I will add it in there, and now I've got a chance to give it a name. For now, I will leave it as Untitled Path. And one of the options that I can have here is I can choose the style and color that I want. So I'm going to change the color to red. Let's use that red rather. And also, I can choose the width, and I'm going to say, let's make it 4 wide. Now, if I go to my measurements and I change that one to kilometers, it will be interesting if I just drag it to the side there. You will see that now, you'll see how my icon has changed. So I can see the road here, so I'll make that my first point. And now, on this line, I will now actually go and I will create my route. And you will see on the left-hand side here, now it will add the kilometers as I'm moving along. Now again here, I can use my arrow keys to actually pan the screen to where I want to go. So here the road is pretty straight, so I will just follow up and I will create my route like that. and I'm going to stop there for now, and I'm going to close this row, this properties to say you take it away. And now if I zoom out, you'll see there's my little track that I've created. Right, and this is now the track that if I right click on this track over here, I can say save place as. It will bring up this dialog box over here. It'll give me the option to say as what do I want to save this. And I can choose either KMZ or KML, which is both Google Earth formats. I'll choose KML, and let's just call this one false. And I'll keep it in the downloads folder. All right. Now, if I go back to my Google Earth, I am going to go to my new list over here. You'll still see the Untitled Falls over there. I'll select my new list over there. Sorry, I don't want to rename it. I'll go to File, Import into New List, and there's my Untitled Falls KML that I created, and I say Open, and where's my track? Why do I not see my track over here?
Tony, you picked the wrong file. The other
it's
one.
The icon. I exported the place mark and not the actual track. Let me go here. The untitled path. See, save place as. Let's try that again. Say that's the one that I should have opened. That's the one that I should have opened. I'm getting in a hurry now. I don't want to keep you guys too long. Let us go back here. File, import, and it will be the untitled path. There's the one. Open, and there's my path. It will be at the bottom somewhere. And again, I can go change my color to red. And I've got a path in there now. Yes. Okay, I did bring my GPS along. So you will see that if I go now and I plug my eTrex in, you will see that it will start to load. Just give it a second to pick up. But this actual track that I've drawn here now, you'll see that I see there's somebody in the lobby. I don't know if it's someone trying to reconnect or. All right. Okay, what you will see on the screen now is that as I plug in the GPS, it actually opened File Explorer and it navigated to the internal storage and the I don't think I have external storage in here, only internal storage of the GPS. But I'm going to close that for now, and you'll see here in BaseCamp now it's starting to load all the information that I have on the eTrex. It's going to load here until everything is loaded. So we'll just give it a second to load over there. Quite a bit of information in there. I could have probably deleted some of the information for it to go quicker. Let's just give it a second over there. I didn't expect it to take this long. My apology for that. But yeah, in the meantime, while it is busy here, let's just go back to BaseCamp. If I've done this path now, again, the same as with BaseCamp, depending on what zoom level you are working on. If I start to zoom in closer, I'm not sure if you can see that on your screen, but it looks like I've actually deviated from the path over here. So by right-clicking on the path on this side, and I go to the properties, let me just move back over here. I can take any of these points and I can move them around and alter my route to the way that I want it. Or I can click inside and add another point. I can click at the end, move that point a bit further up, and continue with my route to create my route as I wish. So in that way, I can have it follow this path that I see on Google Earth very closely. And I must say that, as I've said, this particular route I have actually traveled, and in some places the road was visible, so I could travel on the road, but in other places it was just grasveld. But by following the route on the GPS zoomed into a level of at least 50 meters, I was able to stay on that road until I got to a point where I could actually see the road again and travel on it from there. I think BaseCamp is done now, and you'll see here that I've got my eTrex 20 unit over here with internal storage. Now, if I click on it, it will display me all the information that I have on my eTrex, waypoints, tracks, routes, whatever I have. And again, I can filter it by saying, show me only the tracks, or show me the routes that I have over there, or show me the waypoints that I have. Now from here, let's go to the tracks, and let's just scroll up here so that I can see my new list number 3. From here, I can actually take a point here, and I can drag it up into my new list over there. And that point will sit there, and I can copy that point from my GPS up to my list over there. The other option that I can do is the standard one that I use a lot of times, is I can go up here, receive from device, and by clicking on that one, I can select it. If I had a memory card, I can either choose the internal storage or the memory card, and I can say OK, or click on OK rather. And then what it will do is you will see that under this folder, data received from eTrex, it has now created a list with today's date and today's time. And that will be everything that I have on the GPS, and it is on the computer now. And I can copy that information to the other list, and I can work with it in that way. To go back to our that was on the new list 3. Let me just find that one quickly. There we go, new list 3. Okay. All right. As I said, if I right click over there, show on map, it's created that track over there. And from here now, I can then, let me just scroll down, I can drag that track back to my GPS, and that track will sit on my GPS. Or if I right click there and I convert it to a route, I can now take both of those and I can drag them up into my Nuvi, into my internal storage over there, and replace it there for me. Now let's look at the tracks, and I can do exactly the same with my tracks that I have over here. So I can take up to that track, I can choose from my list which I want, and by holding the left button, I can drag them in there, and we'll go and store them on my internal storage. I don't want to copy them there now, so I'm not gonna leave the mouse button. I'm just gonna leave it over here, and that is how I can drag my planning. I can drag in there, or if I have a folder over here or a list over here, I can drag that whole list. I can drag it into my internal storage over here. All right. The last thing that I want to show you on the on BaseCamp is that this path that I created here now, if I right click on that path and I go to show elevation profile, now it will show me the elevation profile of that particular track based on the levels that is in Garmin, in Google Earth. And I will see here that at the top, my total distance is about 1,000 meters. My elevation gain is about 43.5 meters. My maximum slope is 8.9%, and my average slope is 4.3%. Now, if I were to change this, one to go through there and to go through there, and I look at my elevation profile now, you will see what it will do. As I move along the graph here, it will actually show on the map where that particular point is. And that is what it will plot on the route for you. All right. And in this particular one, you'll see there's a river crossing. Now, obviously, I can zoom in as much as I want, but I cannot tell what the condition of that river crossing is. So when we did this particular route, we were fortunate that we could travel all the way. I managed to see some other routes that is there with some other river crossings. So the plan was to go and try them out last year, but obviously COVID put a stop with that, and we couldn't do that. All right, so that is the tracks, and that is the end of my presentation. Time for questions, if there's any questions. Anybody? All right, that was very quick and no questions. So either nobody understood anything, or it was so clear that everybody understood everything. But yeah, the thing is with this is that if you don't start playing around with it, that is how you learn, and that is how you start to pick up points on what you did. What you see, I see here is a hand up, Dave Griffin. Yes, Dave. Dave, are you there? Right, looks like Dave has changed his mind.
Sorry, I was unmuting myself.
Okay. Yes, Dave.
Johnny, sorry, thanks very much for that. I'm assuming unless you've got tracks for Africa, you're really going to be quite lost in trying to do any route planning. I don't know that there are any options in South Africa that one use other than that. So I assume that's a given.
Yeah, it depends on your type of travel. The type of travel I do, I definitely cannot do without tracks for Africa. And then, as I've shown you the example of that waterfall, there's actually a place. There are actually places where Track for Africa falls short as well. I have not sent that particular log that I've done to Tracks for Africa because we actually traveled through a private tea plantation. And we had to talk very nicely to the car guard to let us through there. And so I did not want to upload that track and have hordes of people traveling through the tea plantation to get to that track. The plan was to actually, on my next trip, to check out some of the other routes and then add that up into Tracks for Africa. So yes, Tracks for Africa is a must. But then again, if you start playing around with Google Earth, you tend to find other places that you want to travel to. And then I start drawing tracks like this that I transfer. And as I'm sitting without a 4x4 at this stage, I'm doing a lot of trail running. And between Google Earth and my GPS, I use it also quite a lot, where I map out trails that I see in the mountain, and then take it to the GPS, and then run on that particular track. So yes, Dave, you are right. Tracks for Africa, I think personally is a given. And that you must use that, and the way I use it, definitely a road-orientated navigation device. I've opted for the eTrex together with a Nuvi. The Nuvi gives me the bigger screen. The eTrex gives me the off-road capability. I can put it on the handlebars of the bicycle, or I can clip it in on my backpack, and I can go hiking with it. It works off penlight batteries, and it will easily last 2 to 3 days on a set of batteries, and before I have to change that. So yes, that is that. Right, any more questions? Nothing? Right, I see we've lost a couple of people along the way. The session has been long. I will upload the video. And yeah, thank you everybody for signing in. And I apologize now backwards for probably going a lot too fast and so on. But what we can always do is in future we can maybe arrange a dedicated session to go through some specifics or something like that. I'm also open to one-on-one sessions where we can perhaps use something like TeamViewer or AnyDesk, and we can go in together, and you can work on your computer, or I can work on your computer, and we can do it that way as well. So yes, thank you very much for signing in, and all of you have my email. So I would like to ask you guys to please email me some feedback for future sessions, something that I can try or something that I must do differently, so that we can do this. And as I've mentioned when we discussed in the thread that we've been working, I have been contemplating to start official training sessions and so on. But depending on how the response is, what the response is, we will see where this will go and so on. But I would suggest you guys go to my tips and tricks thread or post on the internet as well. For those of you who haven't seen it, I just want to show you very quickly. I have tried to make it as user-friendly as possible, with the first post having an index with all the general topics, and you will see here that basically my route creating, and you'll see there how to create routes. I have actually created a video for it, and it is discussed in post number 62. So if you click on that hotspot over there, it will take you directly to the post where we've actually discussed the particular question that was asked, or whatever the case is, and so on. So you guys are welcome to use this as well, and we can ask questions here, post the answers here, and it is available for everybody to see. All right, any other questions before we call it a day, or a night for that matter? Great, thank you very much, everybody, and till next time, safe traveling, happy planning, and yeah, share your routes so that we can see how your plans went and how much you deviated from your original plans. Good night.